Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you, uh, old, maybe new, once more situation. Every time one of two detachments gets hit with Codex Necrons, it seems like the community flips to the other one uh, as soon as possible, without even thinking of what was left behind. Now, this time around, things changed with the MFM and the not balanced data slate, but people are looking at obeisance phalanx at least now. However, let's get back to the things that got hit. Noticeably, Hypercrypt Legion. And when Hypercrypt Legion gets hit, people go to Canoptek Court. And when Canoptek Court gets hit, people go to Hypercrypt Legion. Now, I've already expressed my feelings several times over about how I never understood why teleporting Necrons wasn't everybody's first choice when the Codex dropped, but neither here nor there. Canoptek Court might still have play. And it's kind of interesting that we haven't seen it for 2 months, and it hasn't really had a first place since for 4 months. So I wanted to go into some of these lists and figure out like why why not anymore? We do know the whys. We know that Wraiths got put up in points, same with the Technomancer. We know that Synergies of Eradication got reworded so that it's no longer a unit, it's just specifically Cryptek or Canoptek models. We know these things. But does that warrant all of it just going away? I don't think so. Looking through the list, I was surprised by the lack of some of the models that probably should be in here, and some of them were even interesting enough to include Canoptek Acanthrites. Um, so yeah, there's the time of where GW makes a weird mistake with keywords, like not giving the Triarch keyword, apparently not giving the Void Raven Bomber Fly, even though it's a fucking plane, um, not giving giant snakes, Vanguard Invader. You know, things like that. GW does do some fucky wuckies. But sometimes they do happy little accidents, I guess you could say, that we're not capitalizing on. Except for somebody 4 months ago, Illuminor Szeras, and Deckers. Just let me make sure those were the last ones, right? Because I had to look for quite some time. Yep. Two people brought Illuminor Szeras. Now, why do you want to bring Illuminor Szeras in Canoptek Court? Well, he's a Cryptek, and Canoptek Court really likes Cryptek and Canoptek models. Canoptek Court also plays a bit like the Demons Detachment, or is it their army rule? Whoa, I don't know. Um, don't 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 really think about that. But see, maybe that's why they're having problems with the Canoptek Court. You have it so that your deployment zone is always within your army's power matrix. If you control at least half the objective markers in either no man's land or your opponent's deployment zone, you then add that to your power matrix. And if something is in your power, your Cryptek or Canoptek units are within your power matrix, reroll hit rolls of 1. And if you're fully within the power matrix, reroll the entire hit roll. Don't need to be for the hit rolls of 1, excuse me. But that's something that people were playing with and was just like, yeah, that's the thing. Rerolls are better than teleportation. Like, I don't get it, but hey, it did have success, so that's not the thing that's to laugh at. It did have success, and everything about Canoptek Court is just like okay, doesn't really add to the entirety of what you want to do. Some of it is even redundant, but they're okay. You also won't be missing out per se on not doing or not having some of these things. So it's very interesting where Canoptek Court currently sits. Like, for example, the enhancements. Dimensional Sanctum lets your models in the Bears unit have infiltrate. What does that apply to that you really want to infiltrate? You can put 20 Necron warriors somewhere with maybe a Technomancer attached, maybe a Chronomancer attached. Um, Makes them hard to get rid of with the infiltration screen. Maybe. Maybe you go with the route of 6 Wraiths and a Technomancer. That way that they are in the way sooner and you don't have to worry about their mobility per se. Who knows? But the option's there, and maybe if for 20 points I want to infiltrate 20 Necron warriors, maybe I'll do that and attach it to, I don't know. Maybe that is the play, right? But there's that. You have Hyperphasic Fulcrum doing the thing that Immortals do, where you're re-rolling wounds. You have Auto Divinator, which is nice for 15 points, but again, you won't miss it. Where each time your opponent gains a CP as a result of ability, roll a d6, and on a 2 up, you gain 1 CP. But there's a unit that you're probably wanting to bring to this now that I'll talk about it that also will make you gain CP. So this will be nice in your opponent's turn, I guess. But for the other half, not quite. Then we go to Metal Dermal Tesla Weave, in which if you get charged, they take more to wounds if you roll higher than a 1. Okay, fine, I guess. But am I paying 10 points to make that happen? Like if they charge this one particular unit, like I never let it get open to a firing lane and they just charge it, but none of our units, particularly in this detachment, want to be charged. So I know I'm not going on the route of, man, this is convincing. I should take Canoptek Court, but this is more so I don't understand if this is what was there while we took it originally, but now that something got slightly changed, it doesn't make sense that we're just not taking it at all. So if you want to think about it, I'm here to make you think about it. And we go to the stratagems. Curse of the Cryptek. If a Cryptek model from your army was destroyed by one of the attacking unit's attacks, you can make it so that each time a friendly Canoptek model makes an attack that targets the attacking unit, add 1 to the hit roll and 1 to the wound roll. So your Plasmancer, or this could be good early setup once whatever finally clears out your brick of infiltrating Necron warriors. Um, Now they are +1 to hit and wound by your Doomstalker, which is probably the one that you want to worry about using this with. So there's that. Reactive subroutines. One Canoptek unit from your army that is within 9 inches of the enemy unit. Reactive move of 6. So I know you're of Eradication. This is the one that got changed, so I understand that it's not as appealing as it used to be. Now it is that one Cryptek or Canoptek unit from your army that is wholly within your army's power matrix for 2 CP, and it's a battle stratagem, so it used to be able to be free, but now it's just -1 CP with the Overlords. So for 2 CP or 1 CP. Until the end of the phase, weapons equipped by Cryptek or Canoptek models in your unit have the devastating wounds. Okay. Counter Temporal Shift, Lone Op 18 inches, Solar Pulse, pick an objective that is um, within 18 inches of a Cryptek model, and Weapons equipped by friendly Necrons models have the ignores cover ability while they are targeting units within range of that objective marker. This is where I can see why people were bringing the Transcendent Catan. If you just assault the teleport wherever this objective marker in question would be, ignores cover, sustain 2, it's pretty fire. But again, this applies to Necron's models. So whatever other thing that you want to shoot that way, maybe it's the new 190 pointed Doomsday Arc. You have that option, whatever it may be. And then suboptimal facade. One Canoptek unit from your army that was selected as a target of a charge and is wholly within your army's power matrix, your unit's reanimation protocols activate. If you want to save your Doomstalker, go for it. One of your Canoptek Wraith blocks, go for it. Outside of that, let them waste their time, especially if it's the Reanimator. But all that said, let's go back into the golden, bronzen, necrodermal child, Illuminor Szeras. Every time people tell you that they fight Illuminor Szeras, they're like, damn, I wish I didn't have to do that again. So it's odd that we don't bring Illuminor Szeras more often. I understand we're very much so in the I like big monsters and I cannot lie era of Necrons. But Illuminor Szeras is a T8 model with a save of 2 up, 4 up invuln, 9 wounds, feel no pain of 4, lone up if you're within 3 inches of a friendly Necron unit. That will make your battle line units increase their AP characteristic of 1, and when something goes into them, worsen the AP characteristic of 1. Also, at the end of the fight phase, if this model destroys one or more models this phase until the end of the battle, add 3 inches to the range of its mechanical augmentation ability to a max of 12. So, after 4 fight phases, if you get through all of them and you've destroyed a model per, you can crank this out to a foot worth of buffing to battle line units. I should also say that this was an interesting nod to lore, I think. I think they went for this, in which it is very similar to how Call and the Admech operate, in which you want to be around battle line because it seemed just so out of place for this, but like at the same time it's just like, yeah, the Silver Tide. And again, I see that my recent videos might give you the perception that I am very pro horde list. I don't really want to run them, but all I'm saying is that if you take Illuminor Szeras, 3 Technomancers, 3 Chronomancers, and about 60 Immortals, somebody might not have a good time. You probably will win, and there might not be uh, much resistance in the face of that. Also, this is the battle line unit. And you know who can attach to a battle line unit that isn't just an Overlord? Imotekh the Stormlord. So now you have the option of getting a D6 5-2-1 ignores cover flamer. If you're around Illuminor Szeras, while you are gaining a CP on your command phase. So yeah, that's Imotekh. You don't necessarily want to yeet Imotekh into the front lines, but if he does end up there, you can 5-2-1 some things away, and you can also maybe 3 attacks, strength 6, AP 4, damage 2 some things away. Gives you some options there. Yeah, because he can attach to Immortals or Necron Warriors, which are both battle line, and he can attach to Cryptek models because they go with Nobles that attach to Immortals or Necron Warriors, such as the Plasmancer, who will then make it so that you are scoring critical hits on 5s for your Immortals, who is a Cryptek, and now you are re-rolling 1s. Don't really need to go through too much of this because you already know how Plasmancers and Immortals and Necrons work. more than likely. If you don't, I'm glad I could be that entry video in a way. But Plasmancer, this is the thing that you were doing already when we were taking Canoptek Court. Crits on fives, and, well, next to the absolutely absurd amount of um, Canoptek Wraith. So, this was the other one. Is just like, all right, Wraiths soak up the damage. Plasmancers do the damage. Because, I'm sorry, not Plasmancers. Immortals do the damage with the Plasmancer because you're re-rolling hits on a lethal hits weapon. Or a assault sustained hits 2 weapon. And if you're around Illuminosaurus, this now becomes 5-2-1 lethal hits. So it doesn't really matter what the fuck you were going against, especially when they can reroll wound rolls of 1. And if they're within range of an objective marker, like you want to be doing with Canoptek Court, you can reroll the entire wound roll instead. So that's with 10 models, 20 attacks doing that. You're getting quite a bit of damage through, no matter what the toughness is, with lethal hits, rerolling ones, AP2. Yeah. Then you go on to the Chronomancer, which this is going back to the brick idea, or maybe the just annoying first screening version idea, in which, well, a model is leading his unit each time an attack targets that unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. And if you're around Illuminor Szeras, -1 hit, -1 AP going in, you got a free Armor of Contempt on this brick that is harder to hit and has a um, shoot and scoot, in which you can shoot and then move 5 inches as if it were your movement phase. Can't declare a charge, but that's fine. Now, you also have another Cryptek, Orokin the Diviner, who likes Imotekh. Okay? Orokin the Diviner gives the models in the unit a 4-up invulnerable save. And once per battle, at the start of the fight phase, this model can use this ability. You can go Super Saiyan, triple the attacking strength of the model's Staff of Tomorrow, and every successful wound roll made for this model's attack scores a critical wound. I've talked about why this is better in Obeisance Phalanx, but you're a Cryptek, and if you want to reroll hits, and you have an easier time to wound because you've tripled the attacks and strength, you're getting through some damage with some dev wounds, to say the least. Then we go over to the Overlord with Translocation Shroud, and for that, let's pull back up the Chronomancer, the non-named Chronomancer, who lets you move through terrain. Overlord with Translocation Shroud. I prefer this one in this detachment specifically from how I've been going about things with it. Um, Especially like with the Chronomancer, right? You reactive move through that. That's nothing new. But yeah, I guess I'll just leave it there. You just have the Overlord Translocation Shroud that gives you more movement, um, and reactive moves and a detachment where the other shit gets reactive moves too with Canoptek unit. So you just become a little bit more tricky um, to deal with in general. Then you got the Necron Warriors talking about that brick house. Uh, Necron Warriors. You have the option of having 20 models, T4, 4-up save, 1 wound each, and just absorbing a lot on that first infiltrating block. Um, I don't think you bring warriors for anything but that in this, but you do have the option of having 40 shots, lethal hits, strength whatever, because it's lethal hits, AP2, damage 1, with Illuminor Szeras around, and re-rolling hits because you're attaching this to a Cryptek unit. So there's that option. If you think that that is going to help the game plan, power to you. Then you have the Canoptek Reanimator because if we're having warriors that can re-roll their reanimation protocols to make it so that they do a little bit better, let's do it again with the Canoptek Reanimator, who adds an additional D3 for any Necrons unit that is around it when their reanimation protocols activate. Now, the other thing about the Reanimator, I want to say it might have been Planet 40K who talked about this, but I've talked about this with the Psychophage thanks to people in my comments, and something I've just enjoyed about the Psychophage. But if you just have a meatball that is going to win no matter what happens to it, it's fine. If your opponent sinks in resources to a T6, 3 up save, 6 wound model with a feel no pain of a 4 up, that's them not shooting something else. And if they don't, the things around it are healing better and it's scoring points on whatever random objective you sat it down, or maybe you did board edges, whatever it may be. Canoptek Reanimator. Now, I will say, one of the first mistakes I made is I was like, oh yeah, and then Curse the Cryptek. It's like, no, it's the Cryptek model. So, like, when they get rid of, like, the Mancers, then you're not using this for that. But if you just need another target in your army to give you a way to solar pulse something, again, it just stood there. Right, sorry. Cryptek. Yeah, no. Suboptimal Facade is the one that I was originally when I had this written down. My bad. Um, if you just want to soak up some more damage on a point, you have Suboptimal Facade to kick in. And if you want to make it even harder, Reactive Subroutines. Don't think you need to put a lot into this, but hey, make people waste time with it. With the Reanimator. Then we go to the Technomancer, because of course you can't talk about Canoptek Court without the Technomancer giving things a feel no pain of a 5 up. Perfect. And also healing things itself. Within 6 inches of it at the end of your movement phase, that model gains D3 lost wounds. Perfect. Keep things healthy with this. And Reanimator, you already know what you're doing, and you're probably just fucking things up for people. In the winning the game way, not the ruining somebody's life way. Hopefully not. Canoptek Graves, of course, they attach to the Technomancer. If you're bringing the Technomancer, if you're not doing the a bunch of Immortals, maybe Warriors idea, Canoptek Wraiths, yeah, they're sturdy. T6, 3 up save, 4 up invul, 4 wounds, reanimation protocols. We already know this. We already know why Wraiths are good. I don't need to spend too much time on it. Then the one that made it weird for me was the spiders, because I was like, surely there's got to be something here as to why they're like good in this detachment. Um, they're good to help the other things be good that are helping things be okay, right? You're bringing the spiders if you want to put them next to a reanimator so that they're even sturdier with feel no pain 5 up against mortal wounds and psychic attacks, even though they have feel no pain 4 up. So maybe just the mortal wounds part. Don't worry about the psychic attacks part. Um, yeah, this will come in handy for your vehicles, like the Doomstalker, who of course you're going to be bringing. But I wouldn't pay too much attention to the spiders. Maybe if you want to screen out something with Scarab Swarms too, fuck it. Now, the way you're moving everything, the Ghost Ark is shit. So you're not moving 10 Necron Warriors and 1 Cryptek model. Power to you if you want to, but I don't think you should. The Night Scythe is the poor man's monolith, in which you have the ability to transport 1 Necron infantry unit. This means that it can do Illuminor Szeras, Imotekh and his brick. You can do the Technomancer and the Wraiths. Pretty much anything in this list, except for, of course, the Doomstalker and the Reanimator, is a thing that can be moved, and this can come onto the first round, second or third, just regardless of whatever rules. Deep strike and can bring things back. Wherever you need to move things, maybe you need to move Illuminor Szeras to another brick on the other side of the table. Night Scythe is your new friend. Monolith is 400 points now, and kind of have to be around it. So not as keen on it. So yeah, Night Scythe. And finally, the Scarab Swarms, because I feel like I should at least mention that they exist. If you want to do some objective control shenanigans, fine. And also, let's pull up the Doomstalker, because this is the thing doing the most damage in this list. You even get Overwatch on fives. So yeah, I think that it's odd that nobody was bringing Illuminor Szeras for the most part, and even further, we were bringing like the Silent King over Imotekh, who can attach to the battle line and the cryptex. So yeah, just want to highlight that every time one gets hit, people run to the other. So if you're prepping to run to the other, this video is for you. Yeah. If you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.